In this quick video, I'm going to explain a mindset technique and strategy that I honestly think is kind of a superpower. Actually, I know it's a superpower to be able to do this, and it's kind of a form of meditation, to be honest. But the amount of times that this has come in handy for me with everything when it comes to running my business, keeping myself accountable for even simple stuff like getting up when the alarm goes off in the morning or anything like that, as well as just making progress and staying focused every day, this has been a game changer. So I would honestly watch this whole video and start using this because it is honestly a superpower. If you don't know me, I'm Logan Lesser, a national motocross racer, having won over 15 state championships and an amateur national championship. I'm an extreme sports athlete and ran a marketing agency for over 4 years, growing it to $30,000 a month. And while doing so, was able to travel the world living in Cape Town, South Africa, part-time throughout the past few years. And I've spent nearly $50,000 on mentors, coaches, courses, and education, learning from the best of the best in business, fitness, mindset, racing, and so on. Now I'm sharing what I've learned and growing my community, the Champion Protocol, linked in the description below. All right, I can't remember exactly what book it was that I got this concept from, but I remember because I have a very strong imagination and I like this type of stuff. And it's stuff that some people might, when I explain it, they might think, that's kind of weird. That's kind of crazy. Or like, what? Like they might think that I'm like literally mentally insane or something like that. I don't know. But this is just the type of stuff that I like that kind of connects with me. And I remember I was reading the book, which I'm totally spacing the name of it right now. And when it got to this part where the author, and the author's really, really successful, once again, can't remember who it is, but I just know the dude is like very successful. I think he might even be a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember I got to the part of the book where he was explaining this concept, and I was like, it was almost like the light bulb clicked in my head because I was like, yo, like that could work for me. Like I need to try this. And basically what it is and what I call it is I call it my invisible counsel. And I really want to come up with a better name because I think it's kind of a shit name. But basically what it is it's a council of people who I have a lot of respect for and who are very, very far ahead of me in whatever space that I'm like trying to learn from them in or whatever, but they're just far ahead of me in life in general and everything, with experience, with success, with all those sorts of things. And overall, like I've also learned a lot from them and I know a lot about them. And my invisible council consists of Matthew McConaughey, Alex Hormozy, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk. Now, I only have 4, and I am probably going to add to it eventually, but right now I just want to keep it at 4 to kind of keep it simple and everything. Because in the book, he explained his, and it sounded like he had literally like 100 people. And after I explain what exactly this is and how to use it, you're probably also going to agree. I don't know how you would possibly do that. Like how you would have so many people. So I only have those 4 right now. And long story short, like the way that I found or picked the people for my invisible council is I basically thought about like who I look up to a lot, who I have a lot of respect for, and who is very successful in specific areas that I want to be successful in as well. And also who I know a lot about. Like you need to have a good understanding of who the person is, like how they kind of think, and just like you need to know a little background about them, which that'll make sense in a minute when I explain exactly how to use this strategy. But that's how I picked mine. And I just know, and I've learned a lot from those people. I've watched so many of Matthew McConaughey's movies. I've listened to his interviews. I've listened to his motivational speeches. I listened to his commencement speech at, I can't remember what college it was, but it was really good. And I've listened to his podcast on I've listened to the podcast that he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, I just know a lot about Matthew McConaughey, and I have a lot of respect for the dude. And then Alex Hormozy, I've learned so much from that guy with business, mindset, all sorts of things. I've binge watched so many of his YouTube videos, taking notes and just learning from him. I've read his books, and I'm also a part of like my community or whatever that I have linked in the description below is on this platform called School. And he actually is like one of the main investors or partners in it or whatever. And everybody who like is a part of the School games basically has access to a weekly group call with Alex Ramosi on it. And I'm on that group call every single week. So like I'm still consistently learning a lot from the guy. And I just know a lot about him as well. And I've got a lot of respect for the dude in just many, many areas of pretty much all areas of his life, business, relationships, how he approaches life, his mindset, everything. So yeah, there's that. And then Steve Jobs, I've watched his movies multiple times and then just read up on his story, and just once again, another guy that I really look up to and know a lot about. And then Elon Musk as well, basically kind of same story with Steve Jobs, but I don't think Elon has a movie yet. But I'm sure one will come out eventually. But regardless, that's my counsel. So that should kind of help you pick yours. Now, what exactly is this thing and how do you use it? Well, basically, like I said, it's kind of a form of meditation. And what I do is that it's this, and I call it the invisible counsel because it's basically this counsel in my head. And I basically talk to them in my head. Remember when I said that when I explain this, some people think I'm crazy? Yeah, this is the part where you might think that. But this is seriously a game changer. So just like have an open mind with this because it seriously is really cool. So basically what I do is whenever I want to talk with them or whatever, what I'll do, and lately I've been actually doing it every night when I go to bed to go to sleep. Like I'm laying in bed and I'll like have a conversation with them or whatever. This will make more sense in a second as I explain this. But basically what I do is I close my eyes, I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when I take that deep breath out, I'm basically walking into the council with them. And I don't know why, but this is just the vision or the environment that my mind created when I first started doing this. Like the first time I did it, this is just like what came to mind. And basically what it is that when I breathe out, I like walk through these giant doors, like these giant freaking doors that open up, and I walk in and I'm kind of in the center, almost on like this kind of center stage or whatever. And then they are on this like long round table that just like kind of surrounds me. And there's Matthew McConaughey and then Alex Ramosi, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Like they're always in the same spot. And then like everything is just like the surrounding. It's almost like we're in the sky. Like it's kind of weird. Like we're just like in the sky. I don't know. It's interesting. But that's just the environment that I created or whatever. But basically what I do is I just keep my eyes closed. I'm imagining all this and I walk in and I basically imagine in my head that I'm talking to them and they are in front of me listening to what I'm saying, and then they're also responding. And the power of this is that it's a way for me to kind of like, if I have a lot on my mind or I have things that are bothering me or things that are like stressing me out or making me anxious or that I'm worried about or anything really, or if things are going great and I just kind of want some perspective to get some thoughts on what I could do next or the next step I could take or whatever, then I'll do this. But basically I go in and I will imagine like I'm talking to them and I'm basically able to just unleash whatever it is that is in my head. Like it's kind of like a brain dump. Like I'm just telling them whatever's bothering me and all those sorts of things. And then they listen. And what's interesting is that it's almost like there's that concept of how you can kind of have tunnel vision and you can kind of be so focused from your own perspective and you're not able to kind of see from an outsider's perspective, you know, and you kind of get stuck in your own view and this tunnel vision and everything. And this invisible counsel kind of allows me to get an outsider's perspective and get someone else's perspective. Like it's weird, but it's interesting and it works. And it's crazy how well it works because basically my counsel is made up of people who I look up to and who I know a lot about. And I have a good idea of kind of how they approach things and how they think through things. So as I explain stuff to them and I explain like what I'm struggling with or whatever, then in my head, I'm imagining like if it's, for example, specifically a business problem and specifically say like a problem with my school community or whatever, because literally Alex Ramosi is the one who's like running this whole platform and knows the most about it out of the 4 council members or whatever, then I'll kind of direct my question or problem to him. And then in my head, I'm imagining he's talking back to me and giving me his perspective and his thoughts. And a lot of times, like if I'm just being lazy or something, or if I hop in there and I'm like, man, I just haven't been able to get up in the morning, then like when the alarm goes off, then they will give me their unbiased, like raw opinion and basically put me in my place and tell me like to stop, to cut it out and to stop like to refocus on what it is I want. Like if I really do want this, because if I really did want this, then I'd be getting my ass up when the alarm goes off and blah, 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 blah. So like they're giving me their very raw, unbiased opinion. And what's so interesting, and it's crazy, because I remember when I was in Cape Town, I literally used this invisible counsel as a way to keep myself accountable. Because in Cape Town, there was something like what I was working on with my agency is I had to submit Upwork proposals in order to book calls, in order to try and land clients. And submitting Upwork proposals is like mind numbing and it sucks. And I'd have to spend like 4 hours a day doing it. And I just did not want to do it. And what I did is every night before bed, I would have a meeting with my invisible counsel, and I would talk to him, and I would talk to Alex Ramosi in there, and basically he would tell me, he's like, all right, how many proposals did you submit today? And I'd be like, I submitted 15. And he's like, okay, tomorrow I want you to submit 25. And I was like, oh shit, like I don't know if I can find 25. And he's like, I want you to submit 25, and when we talk tomorrow night, you better tell me that you submitted 25. And what's funny is that the next day when I'd go to submit, like, even though this is all in my head and it's not like there's a real person who is holding me accountable or whatever, it's still in my head is so powerful that it actually is a different person. It is Alex holding me accountable. So then when I went to sit down to do my proposals, I was like, okay, I need to submit 25 so that tonight when I talk with them again, like they're not disappointed and I held my word and I actually did it, you know? And then that night when I talked to him, he'd be like, all right, how many did you submit? And I'd be like, 25. He's like, all right, tomorrow I want you to submit 40. And I'd be like, shit, I don't know if I can even find that many. And he'd be like, yes, you can. Like, you're going to submit 40 tomorrow. And then sure enough, the next day, I'd submit 40. And I just kept doing that. And it was a way that I was able to hold myself accountable. So it's a very interesting concept, and you can use it for anything. And to be honest, what's nice about it is that it's almost like when I was in Cape Town, I was by myself. Like I was by myself. There was nobody there except for my good friend and business partner, Courtney, who lived there. But he was in a like stage of just pure focus, relentless focused work. So I like rarely even saw him. So I was really just like there kind of by myself, staying there by myself for 3 months. And what was nice, and this totally sounds like something that someone who is literally psychologically crazy would say, but by having this invisible counsel thing and being able to talk with them, it was almost like I did have other people who I could share things with and who I could talk with, and who like at the end of the day, I could share like how the day went and then get their perspective on what I could do better the next day and maybe where I slacked off and everything. And it's just interesting. Like I don't want to phrase it as like, I don't have to be alone anymore or anything like that. Like I use it as a way to improve and grow myself and everything and help my business grow and to hold myself accountable and all those sorts of things. You know, like that's how I use it. But there is a part of it where it is nice to be able to like whenever maybe there is something I'm struggling with or whatever, specifically when I was in Cape Town and I didn't really have anybody there to talk to, like I would just do this, and it's a form of meditation to me where I would just sit and I would talk with them and I'd share what I'm worried about and everything. And it's crazy how a lot of times like I would be so anxious and so stressed about something, and like my heart would be racing, and then I would do this and I would talk with them and they would talk me through it and really help me gain some perspective and realize like this isn't a big deal. Like what I'm worried about, it's not that big of a deal. And they would help me kind of lay out, okay, like Logan, this is what you need to do in order to get through this, and in order to fix this problem, in order to go save that client, in order to whatever. Like this is what you need to do. And it's stuff I already knew I needed to do, but there's like that sense of hearing it from somebody else is more powerful than me telling myself like, okay, this is what you need to do. Whereas if I hear it from them, even though it's in my own head, like it's just that much more powerful of like reassuring, like that is what I need to do. Like this is what you need to do. Just go do it, you know? So hopefully that makes sense. But in summary, like just to summarize for you and wrap all this up, is basically figure out who your invisible counsel is going to be made up of, which originally I think I actually started with 3 people. I don't think I started with 4. And I think I originally started with Matthew McConaughey, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk. I might have also had Alex Ramosi in there originally. I can't remember. But overall, I'd recommend starting with like 3 or 4 people. Any more than that, and it's just going to be a little too chaotic to try and like go in and talk with them. And it's also nice to have a few people, because then you're able to like talk with one maybe at a time. Or like sometimes I'll do this and I'll only talk with Alex, or I'll only talk with like Steve or whatever. I never really talk with Elon Musk. I kind of feel bad, but he's kind of just always there. But regardless, I'd recommend starting with 3 or 4 people and really figure out who it is that you have a lot of who you have a lot of respect for, and who is an expert in whatever it is that you would like to kind of pick their brain on. Like if you're a motocross racer, which most likely you are, because that's like my main audience with these videos and everything. Well, if you're a motocross racer, then maybe pick a racer who you really look up to, who has like done extremely well in their career, and who you could pick their brain and learn a lot from. And not only somebody who's an expert, and this goes for everybody who you put in your council, but also make sure that it's someone or people that you know a lot about, that you're like very interested in, and you know a lot about them, their story, like how they kind of think, how they approach things. Because the more detailed you can get with that, and the more you know about the person, the better this is going to be. Because what's nice is that when I do this and I go and I say I'm talking with Alex Hormozi, since I know so much about him, and I know so much about his story, his journey, his pitfalls, his successes, the way he thinks about things, kind of his mindset about life and everything, it allows me to, when I share things with him, I know, because all this is happening in my head. So like I have to know, like everything he tells me is basically me telling me that. Like it's me telling myself that. Like it's kind of weird. But regardless, like the more I know about him, the more that it's going to be more realistic of an answer coming from him. So like if I give him something that maybe I'm struggling with, then whatever he tells me in my head is like what I would interpret, or what I would think is what he would actually tell me. Hopefully that makes sense. Like the more that I know about the person, the more I can imagine like, okay, I think that this is how he would reply to that problem or whatever. Or like if I actually told him this in person, like in real life, this is how I think he'd respond. So, but the only way to really know that is to know a lot about the person. So hopefully that makes sense. So make sure it's an expert, somebody you look up to and respect, and then also somebody you know a lot about. And then just narrow it down to like 3 or 4 people. And then just start doing this. And just literally all I do is I just sit back, close my eyes, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. And as soon as I breathe out, like I walk in and then right there. And all I do is in my head, I'm just imagining like me talking to them and kind of just sharing whatever, like sharing whatever it is that I need their help with, or whatever it is I'm struggling with, or a problem I'm facing, or a challenge I'm facing, or whatever, So, and just practice it and everything. But anyway, I'll leave off with that. So hopefully that was helpful. Feel free to leave any like questions or anything in the comments, because I know it's probably kind of a weird topic, or just kind of a hard to understand topic, I guess you could say. But with that being said, go ahead and subscribe for more videos like this, and definitely check out my community linked in the description below for racers. It's free. And aside from that, I will see you in the next video. Peace. Oh, wait. Peace. Forgot to do the thing.